After that, he rode a 26-inch variable speed bicycle from this family and fled the scene through the west gate of their house. He rode for dozens of kilometers. When it was almost dawn, he had reached Tangyan County, dozens of kilometers south of Anyang. He threw the bicycle under a bridge. At dawn, the mistress of the house woke up from the coma. The man was still unconscious. On the ground, she picked up the child and stumbled to call relatives. They quickly sent her husband to the hospital for rescue. At around 1 o'clock in the morning, Yang Xinhai took a 3-section flashlight, wore knee-length black boots, and white cotton gloves. He groped his way to the fish shed in the dark. He removed the lock hanging on the door of the fish shed and quietly slipped inside. He saw a pair of scissors stuck in the west wall of the fish shed. He guessed it was for self-defense, so he first pulled out the scissors and threw them into the river. Because when he opened his mouth to speak, he just made garbled sounds and couldn't speak clearly. He endured such a life for 2 or 3 months, suffering both physically and mentally, like being in purgatory. This made him hate society even more, and all people more. He gradually turned himself into a devil outside the crowd. Seeing the old woman knocked unconscious and tied up, the young girl was so scared that she didn't dare to make a sound. Yang Xinhai pounced on her like a hungry wolf, grabbing her neck with his cold hands. The young girl was so frightened that she let out a loud scream. Yang Xinhai picked up the stick from the ground and hit her on the head, making it bleed in a moment of daze for the young girl. Yang Xinhai stuck out his tongue and tried to kiss her. With his tongue bitten, Yang Xinhai became even more vicious. After acting alone, to cover his tracks, he dressed up as a small-time merchant every day. He rode a bicycle through villages and townships, carrying some small commodities on the bike, wandering around like a ghost whenever he reached a village. He didn't hawk his wares or rush to do business instead. His beady eyes just darted around. He scouted the place during the day and waited for the right opportunity to commit crimes at night. After fleeing the scene this time, Yang Xinhai regretted it because he had left his blood at the scene. If the police collected it and had it tested, they would know it was him who committed the crime. But after some time, he saw that the police didn't seem to be following the blood trail to find him. His courage gradually returned, although a piece of his tongue had been bitten off. He didn't dare to go to the hospital or buy medicine at the pharmacy. Moreover, the courtyard wall was very low, which caught his special attention. He pretended to be looking for water and walked into this household. He found that in such a large courtyard, only a young couple and a child of 2 or 3 years old lived there, and the woman was quite good looking. So he secretly chose this place as his target for the crime. After choosing the target, he felt a little scared. The man didn't even have time to grunt and fell off the bed. Motionless, maybe the black dog was intimidated by Yang Xinhai's madness. It just wagged its tail and barked once, then crawled back under the bed and didn't dare to move. Yang Xinhai tied the man's hands with a rope. The mistress of the house was awakened. Yang Xinhai whispered an order to her. "Don't make a sound, hurry up and get the money," the mistress said. "There's no money here, all the money is in the bank." In a blink of an eye, more than half a year had passed. The wound on Yang Xinhai's bitten tongue had long since healed, and his restless heart began to stir again. In mid-August 2000, Yang Xinhai was wandering around the suburbs of Anyang City one day. He saw a large vegetable field with several plastic greenhouses scattered in the middle. Some of the plastic greenhouses were being dismantled. There was only one household in this large vegetable field, and there were no other houses around. In the winter of 1999, Yang Xinhai fled to the area around the South Daihu River in Luoshan County, Xinyang City one day in mid-November. He spotted a fish shed on the bank of the South Daihu River. Inside the shed lived 2 women, an old one and a young one. It was far from the village, and there were no other residents nearby. The fish shed wasn't locked at night either. Yang Xinhai's long-suppressed libido flared up again. Yang Xinhai took a look and confirmed that the whole family was sound asleep. Then he walked into the house through the door near the bedroom. Yang Xinhai held the brick in his hand and held the small flashlight in his mouth, ready to deal with any possible resistance at any time. Suddenly, a black dog growled and crawled out from under the bed. Yang Xinhai was startled. He raised the brick in his hand and smashed it at the temple of the sleeping man. Then he hit the mistress with a stick. The first blow landed on her leg, knocking her onto the bed. Then another blow landed on her head, knocking her unconscious. Then he tied her hands above her head. After satisfying his bestial desires, Yang Xinhai saw that the man was still in a coma. The woman was so scared that she lay on the bed. Not daring to move, he rummaged through the house and found some change before leaving. To cover his tracks, he poured a bucket of cooking oil into the house. But finally, when he returned to his hometown, after being away for many years, she had married someone else. The second time was when his attempted rape failed. His face was bitten, and he was sentenced to prison during his imprisonment. He hated that woman to the core this time, when his tongue was bitten by the young girl. It dealt an even greater blow to his emotional world, causing a qualitative change in his deformed psychology and planting the seeds of hatred for women. Fortunately, the head injury of the male owner of this family was not serious, and he finally managed to keep his life in the subsequent victims of Yang Xinhai's crimes. Others were not so lucky. It was the height of summer, and most people in the suburbs of Anyang City were enjoying the cool outdoors. No one noticed this evil demon with ulterior motives in action. At about 11 o'clock at night, Yang Xinhai arrived in front of this vegetable field. He squatted in a corner of the vegetable field and carefully observed if there were any movements in this household. Under the cover of the plastic greenhouses, there was no one in the yard, and the light in the house was still on. He knew the public security organs would set up controls in these places. He was afraid of ending up like a moth flying into a flame. For more than a month after that, he relied on holding raw egg whites in his mouth to reduce inflammation and relieve pain. He could only drink rice soup and congee to fill his stomach when eating every day. He didn't dare to talk to people much, and sometimes even pretended to be mute. Just as he grabbed the young girl's neck and was about to do something evil, the old woman was awakened. She loudly asked, "Who's there? What are you doing?" Yang Xinhai casually picked up a wooden stick and hit the old woman on the head. The old woman's head tilted to one side, and she fell off the bed to the ground. Unconscious Yang Xinhai then found a piece of plastic rope and tied the old woman's hands behind her back. Later, after the cases of Yang Xinhai's murders, rapes and robberies were solved, the police officers involved in the case analyzed that Yang Xinhai's 3 setbacks in love were the main reasons for him to embark on the path of murder and crime. The first time was when his girlfriend left him. This girlfriend had had an emotional entanglement with the young Yang Xinhai. Yang missed her day and night during his reform through labor, and regarded her as his spiritual sustenance. "If you want money, I'll get it for you tomorrow. I'll get you as much as you want." As she said this, she'd already stood up. Yang Xinhai said to her, "Lie down and don't move." The mistress said, "I won't lie down. As soon as I lie down, you'll beat me." Hearing this, Yang Xinhai turned around and went out of the house. The mistress took the opportunity to turn on the light in the room at this time. Yang Xin was holding an air pump in his hand when he entered the door. He smashed the light bulb. In most of the subsequent cases he committed, Yang Xinhai targeted women as the main objects of his attacks and was extremely cruel, leaving no survivors. Every time he committed a crime, Yang Xinhai would scout the place in advance. He would only take action after finding that there were young women or young girls in the family. In mid-November 1999, after his tongue was bitten by the young girl in the South Daihe River in Luolshan County, Xinyang area in southern Hunan. Yang Xinhai knew that the public security organs would spare no effort to solve the case. To avoid being chased by the public security organs, he headed north overnight and reached Enyang City in northern Hunan in just a few days here. He still stole whenever he could and robbed whenever he had the chance, relying entirely on these criminal means to make a living. He remembered that the last time he attempted to rape 2 weak women in Xinyang, he still got his tongue bitten here. There was also a man. How could he deal with him? He gritted his teeth and thought fiercely, "Rape, there's no danger, as long as I kill the man first." That afternoon, Yang Xinhai bought a small 2-section flashlight and a pair of white gloves in Enyang City after nightfall. He carried these tools and walked towards the suburbs. As he walked, he pretended to look around leisurely. The panicked young girl didn't hesitate to bite his tongue and tore off a piece. Yang Xinhai howled in pain like a wolf. He casually grabbed a pair of fire tongs and hit the young girl on the temple. The young girl was knocked unconscious. When fleeing the fish shed, Yang Xinhai snatched the only 4 yuan in the young girl's pocket. He picked up the piece of his tongue that the young girl had bitten off and threw it into the river behind the fish shed. He guessed that the owner of the house hadn't gone to sleep yet. Yang Xinhai took a nap on the edge of the field when he woke up. It was already the next morning. He gathered his strength, took out his flashlight, put on his gloves, and crouched low as he rushed forward. Yang Xinhai easily climbed over the low wall and entered the yard. He casually picked up a brick on the ground since it was summer. People in the countryside were used to sleeping with the door unlocked at night.